Hi everybody, so today we're going to be making this arrowhead pendant that is based on an old design I have, which is, I called it the Scarab design, and that's like an old tutorial you might have seen. And so I finally got some arrowhead stones, and I was kind of brainstorming, and I remembered that Scarab design, and I kind of adjusted it to make it work for an arrowhead, and I think it makes kind of a cool look. We got a nice little weave going on here for decoration. If you're not comfortable with weaving or you're just not ready to try it yet, I do have a simpler arrowhead tutorial that I posted just last weekend. That is a good one to start with. It doesn't have any weaving, but it has just a little bit of that same weaving wire just to make this little connection here and here. But in this video, we're going to be making this pendant. Here is the back of it. So if you want to see how this is done, just keep watching. For my wire, I'm going to be using some 20 gauge artistic wire, round wire in the color gold. Just 2 pieces of it. Let me measure them for you now. They are about 8 inches, just a little less. And then let me measure my stone. So it's another arrowhead or arrowhead shaped stone, and it is a little bigger this time, so it's about 1.75 inches. This one is, and then we're going to be using for our weaving some 28 gauge weaving wire. This is still the artistic round wire in the color gold. So I'm going to start out by taking my 2 wires and finding the middle of them by bending them kind of roughly in half. And then once I have the middle, it's really just so I can grab them in the middle. And then I'm going to put that, whatever you want to be the back of your pendant. So I actually want this to be the back because it's pretty uneven. So might as well just make that the back. So we're going to put whatever is our center where you grabbed here on the back, just a little bit down away from the top here, but not super far down. And we're just going to bend them like this. So that way when you come back to the front here they are coming out the front. And what I want to do is I want to press them down against the stone, but I also want to make a little curvature in them on both sides here, and I want to bring them together. That's kind of my goal here, is that they come together like this. So once they come together, just want to take a look. That's nice and even. All right, that looks pretty centered to me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the weaving. Now it's up to you if it helps you having the stone here, because you can kind of press up against the stone and makes everything more sturdy, or if you don't have a problem with that, you can always take the stone out, and we're basically just going to weave around these 4 wires. So I'm just going to find the end of my little weaving wire here, and I'm going to start with the bottom-most wire, and I'm going to make one little wrap around it. So I'm holding the tail of it here. I'll cut it off later. Here in the back, I put it right above, and I'm pulling it through. So then when I go up, it forms one little wrap, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go above the second wire, and then I'm going to go under it, and that forms another little wrap around the second wire. And then same thing with the third, above and then under it. And now the 4th one. So that's how we move upwards, above and under the top wire. And now we're all the way at the top. So once you're all the way at the top, bring your wire around. Now we're going to bring it down across the top 2 wires and bring it to the back underneath the second wire like this. So it forms a little loop around the top 2 wires. Then we're going to bring it up and bring it in between the top 2 wires. And then we're going to bring it down across the second from the top and the third from the top, so the 2 middle wires there. So it forms kind of like a little loop around the 2 middle wires, and then we're going to bring it above this second from the bottom and bring it down again. And that's how we bring the wire down. And then the pattern repeats. We're going to make a loop around the bottommost wire, and then the second from the bottom, then the third from the bottom, and then the 4th wire, which is our top wire. So now that you've done that, your pattern should be holding your wires together. So what you could do is you could put your stone back in, just to have some sturdiness there from the stone. And then as you hold it, just kind of press this pattern downwards here with your pliers, and that will make it nice and even, because when we started it out, it wasn't perfectly straight like that. So this pattern is going to just repeat for a little bit. I'll probably do a little bit more on camera, but then I'll do it off camera. So down across the top 2 wires, then up 1 and across the middle 2 wires, and then up 1 and then across the bottom 2 wires, and then just a single wrap around the bottom wire, and then the next wire, and then the next wire, and then the top wire, and then down across the top 2, up 1, down across the middle 2, up 1, down across the bottom 2, and then a single wrap around each of the wires as we move back up here. So this pattern looks really beautiful if you keep it nice and tight. So I'm just going to do this. Let me see. Let me show you on the stone here. I'll just do this a couple more times off camera, just so I can get to maybe right around here. And then I'm going to stop and I'm going to start weaving just around these 2 wires. Alright, so I did this pattern a little bit more. I just kind of kept going with it. And I got to the point where the pattern is about on the same level as these little grooves here on the side. And so I brought my wire all the way down. This is basically where we started the pattern. So the wire's down, and then I'm gonna repeat the pattern going up, where I go around the bottom wire, around the second wire, around the next wire, but then I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna go up here, because what I want to do is I want to kind of bring these 2 wires together, and I want to keep weaving around these 2 wires only. So there's basically a little wrap around each one of them, and now my wire is up here, and I'm going to bring my wire down across both of them, and then I'm going to wrap around just the bottommost wire, and then just the topmost wire. And I'll leave some links below the videos if you need any extra help with these weaving patterns, if you want to watch a video that's a little bit, slower or more detailed. But basically, I'm just going to keep going with this pattern for a long time again. So down across both wires, and then a single wrap around the bottom wire and around the top wire, and then down across both wires, and then a single wrap around the bottom wire and the top wire. And this is the little pattern that we're going to be making, and it's going to be going for quite a bit here, because that's going to be our bail. But before I do that, I just want to trim off this little wire end here on the back where we started. So the little end of the wire, it's just right here. It's not going to be visible because it's going to be up against the stone, and you can just kind of press it down a little bit with your pliers to flatten it so it doesn't stick up. So I'm just going to go ahead and weave my bail just enough so that I can bend it and it'll all be kind of woven here. And then I'll come back and show you the next steps. All right, so this is definitely tall enough now to be my bail. So to end the wire here, I'm just trimming it so that the little end of it, when I kind of press down on the end of it, it's back here on the back. All right, so at this point, if your stone isn't in, you want to put your stone in. And these side wires, the reason we wanted them lined up here is because we're going to put them through these little grooves and just kind of bend them to the back. And then here on the back, you want to bend them so they're just completely going across like this. And now for the bail, just want to grab something round-ish to bend it into that bail shape. All right, just like that. And then here on the back, so this is going on top of these other wires now. And we're just gonna take these little ends here, these little wire ends, and they're nice and short, so this shouldn't be too difficult. We're just gonna tuck them under these two wires, and you can raise up the two wires if you need to, but mine have a natural gap here due to the stone having kind of a flatter portion there. So we're just gonna bend them up. And this is actually the perfect length, so I'm not gonna trim that one, but I will trim the other one. You want to tuck these in downwards and then just kind of press on this so that the wire is pointing down into the stone, so your wire end is essentially just like hidden away and it's not going to poke. So now it's just like smooth and round, just like that. And now we just have to finish off these wires, so we're just going to bend them and essentially finish them off in a very, very similar way. So just trimming, so we have just a little end there. And then taking that little end, just pointing it down into the stone, and then just kind of closing up that loop. And then same thing here on this end. All right, so now our little wire ends are tucked away, and this is smooth and everything is secured. This is what it looks like from the back, and then here is what it looks like from the front. I think my bail is just slightly crooked there, but basically that is it. That is the Scarab pendant version of a arrowhead. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.